All right, I'd like to call this meeting to order today for our April the 20th, 2022 special call board meeting. Welcome everybody here today. First item on the agenda is a budget discussion. Mr. Tadlock, you have anything you want to tell us about this budget?
I guess first of all, for clarification, on the agenda, we did have a closed meeting item. However, we not going to need that tonight. But I did forward two emails this afternoon related to that topic, and we will place that on a future agenda for further discussion. But in the meantime, if any board member has any questions, please feel free to reach out to me.
All right.
So tonight you do have the draft proposed fiscal year 23 budget. It totals $45,290,798. In that budget, the current tax rate is 61 cents per $100, and built into this budget, that tax rate remains the same. We can look at what other tax rates would do to that specific the bottom line, but as of right now, I propose the 0.61 cents. The subtotal expenditures exceed the subtotal revenue by $2,204,994. 1 cent on the levy is approximately $280,000. In the budget, there is a 5% increase proposed. It does include the VRS system of 12.47%. Our VRS rate was previously 10.40%. If the board chooses not to do the hazardous duty for the EMS employees, our VRS rate actually did drop to 10.16% this year. We do have a 10% increase in the health insurance for the county. And I'll go over some more of that in a little bit more detail, brother. Also, just wanted to make you aware that the school funding this year, based on the total budget of the school and the local funding, is 63.6%. And they are not asking for any increased local funding based on their budget. I did include in your packet there that the debt service for the middle high school, and this year it's an auto payment of $2 million. And as you remember, back in, I believe it was 2017, we refinanced that bond to a more favorable rate. So we still have quite a few years there left to pay on that bond. So in general, I'll just highlight some of the costs that we're looking or facing this budget. And one of those is the health insurance. Like I said, we had a 10.5% increase, and that increase is approximately $115,000 to the county. The salary increase is 5% that is built into the proposed budget is approximately $194,000. And of course, the state has not finalized what they are going to do. One bill has 4% and the other side has 5%. So we're also keeping an eye on that. The VRS rate, like I said, that was 10.4% for the county. and did drop to 10.16. However, the county did do an actuarial study of the hazardous duty, and that includes 17 full-time EMS employees. And that increase for that multiplier to go to that 12%, the 12.47%, would be an increase of $132,895. Sanitary district is requesting an additional employee. Employee with benefits is $47,923. Another line item that we saw a very significant increase regarding is the software cost. And a lot of that pertains to our Office 365, the Brightly asset management software backups on the server, and cost for internet speed increases. Also, at the last board meeting, there was discussion regarding the grocery tax and what impact that may have on the locality. And it's estimated that that would have an impact of approximately $215,000. Something else to keep in mind is that of the car tax, personal property, and Blue Star Widow reduction in real estate taxes. This budget does not include anything as far as personal property modifications or the Blue Star Widow program. But we did factor in the $215,000 to see what that would do on our budget. So that is that impact is in the current budget, draft budget. We had also received some additional information for the expenditure line items in the school budget. So I forwarded that information on to the board. I don't know if you all have any specific questions on the proposed budget. I know this is the first time you all are seeing this, so I don't know if you have any general questions related to this.
What was the school's carryover last year? Just straight, not any federal funds like ESRA or CARES? What was their carryover
For last fiscal year?
Never seen that figure yet.
Yeah, we can dive into that a little bit more. Now, the audit reflected, it was $800,000 or $900,000. I'd have to go back and look at the exact figure, but that was related to some federal monies, the timing of reimbursements on it.
Basically, what was the difference? The carryover from their appropriated funds versus their expenditures, excluding the CARES and all like that.
Yes, sir. We'll follow up on that. Maybe we can talk to the auditor to follow.
Because see, that money should come back, it comes back to the county.
Correct.
Now, we have been putting it in the capital improvement form, but we need to know what that figure is. Have you gotten anything from VACO or anybody, county administrators, on the progress the General Assembly is on coming up with a budget?
I haven't seen any other information. I know
What I
that,
saw in the paper didn't look promising.
yeah, they're back, and of course, they're discussing it, but I haven't heard anything as far as timing.
Because I noticed in the school information, they have in bold letters, therefore, this is their school budget, therefore, this budget proposal relies on additional support from the Commonwealth. And obviously, if they don't get all that they are anticipating, then they're gonna have a shortfall on their budget.
Correct.
And we're not even talking the grocery tax piece. This is their, basic aid and everything else.
Right. And in a lot of localities, I do know, are in the same dilemma, of course, not getting the state dollar amounts. And I think a lot of them just not knowing what the timing is going to be. And of course, the timing of us with having to advertise it in the public hearing, and then of course, the wait period after that. A lot of localities are still moving forward, and then would have to do any type of budget amendments after that.
Have you gotten anything from the school on the status of any contract signed for the JRT / whatever building?
I have, no, that was one of the things that I was thinking that we were going to be discussing in the meeting. And actually, it's something else that I wanted to discuss with the board tonight, that we did throw the date out of May 5th, and it forwarded the email to the board members that they were not able to meet that night. There were some other possible dates, and I didn't know if you all want to go ahead and set that date, and I can get back with the school board.
Well, the status of whether you signed it or not is a simple question,
Sure.
and it deserves a simple answer. Yes, no.
And when
The ramifications are big, but the answer is yes or no.
You want to go over those dates now?
that's up to the board.
Yeah, I would like for us to go over, pull something else, jump in. I know the first one was on the 25th, right? April 25th. May the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd.
Jim,
Second, 3rd, and the 4th.
on this day I have available, Jim, is the 4th.
The 4th?
Yes, on this day I have available.
Okay.
I got final exams and I want to be given to everybody. 2nd and the 3rd, 25th is a final review, so the students and I can't miss that.
So 4th is all right with me?
He's a teacher, by the way.
4th? 5:30?
4th works for me.
Be May the 4th.
Mm-hmm.
May the 4th be with you.
What time, 5:30?
5:30.
Yes. That's at 4 o'clock. Mr. Jett, we have a jail board meeting at 4 o'clock that day. Hey, Ronnie. We've got a meeting at 4 o'clock that day. For jail board, May 4th, that Wednesday.
That's the first one?
That's the first Wednesday.
Where?
We should be,
If we need to, can't we?
yeah, that's what I was thinking. We could just,
Leave a report after 5 if we need to.
we can be back here about 5:30.
Or would later be better, a little bit, half hour later be better for y'all.
6 o'clock? Be good for me.
That'd be better for,
6
That'd
would
be
be
better.
fine.
meet
I
at
think-
six
I think
instead of
5:30 should
5:30.
be fine.
Huh?
I think 5:30 should be fine. We can do that.
Sure now.
We'll make it work. Thank you. I forgot all
It's
about
only
that.
half. That's not gonna bother any of y'all, is it?
What?
Jim? Be all right?
What, 6?
6 o'clock?
6 o'clock's all right, me.
I just didn't want to hold other staff members up any longer. Was the only
Well, that's
thing.
almost everything half hour. Well, up to y'all. Y'all think you can make it to 5:30 or whatever, that's fine.
We'll make it work at 5:30.
Yeah. All right.
All right, we'll leave it as 5:30 then.
Okay.
Um, In this package, this is what the school system's gonna send to us as a budget.
That is all the information that I have received. Now, I did ask again for the expenditure detail report, which, they had posted on their webpage. I did request, the fiscal year to date detailed report, which I'd given to the board. And then also last fiscal year's, expenditure report.
Because all they've given us is a 2021 budget and a 2023 budget, and an increase or a decrease amount. Basically nothing. And
You're talking about the, expenditure detail report?
I don't know, they got it listed as a charter accounts. Sure don't tell me too much. And Tommy, you asked for, Tom,
Yeah.
you asked for what'd you just ask for a minute ago? From the school?
The carryover.
Carryover, yeah, carryover. Yeah. We need to know all that now. I think we need to tell them exactly what we want them to have ready. Is the board agreeable with that?
I agree.
Any board member got anything that they want the school to, get straight, and we'll start with Mr. Long, you got anything?
No, those 2 things are good.
All right. Jimmy?
Question, I guess a little clarification. What kind of type of audit do you want, information you wanted, how detailed do you request?
That detail, can we go? Look,
Go down to the line item.
I mean,
You can
it's-
go, actually, you can go by vendor.
You
How
you
far
ask,
back can
you
we
tell
go?
us what you're looking for, and we can certainly make that request and see what detail we can obtain from them. I mean, they have the RDA system, so they
Well-
should have, vendor and pay and,
We wanted, I guess, ease my mind, a detailed report by category, but showing the expenditures to their vendors. So that is probably the most detailed report you can get. And I guess that will show the expenditures, where they're going, what vendor's getting what, and who's getting what. That would cover any type of outside monies, and where they're going.
All right, so what you're not looking for as far as the expenditure report, year to date, that we uploaded it to Board Docs for you all, that has the line categories.
Got line categories, yeah.
But you're looking for the vendor.
It can be broken down even more than that.
Right, so you want the expenditure detail.
We've asked for a detailed report.
Anything else, Jimmy?
I believe that will do it.
Tommy?
Number one, I'd like last year's finalized budget, school board budget. Because from what I recall, it was in a different format than what we have this year. Number two, I'd like to know the total number of employees broken down by position. Teachers, administrators, bus drivers, cafeteria, paraprofessionals. I want to know how many employees there are and how many are full-time versus part-time.
You want your teachers by school?
No, I don't have to be that specific.
Okay.
If they have it that way, I won't turn it down, but I looked at Lancaster's, their instruction is 66%, we're 73. So I want to know the numbers they have. Their numbers of ADM is a little bit lower, but I want to compare what we have. In other words, every staff in their school system, I want it counted for.
Complete school system, school board. On down.
Complete school system,
Yeah.
all right? Anything else?
We've gotten the salary per position, but we don't have the number of people. And like I said, you're getting me or getting us the carryover.
I've got that, yes, sir.
And I think that's it for right now.
And we need to know how much return money they're gonna be returning to the county.
Yep.
And not waiting until September to find out.
Well, we haven't heard what it is, and here it is, April.
Yeah.
From
You
last
turn
year.
that over to the treasurer's office too. Richard, one thing that, just tell, ask them for the, total number of students in each school that's in attendance now.
Okay. Anything else, Tommy?
Not that I can think of right now. That'll occupy them for a while.
Still got time to think.
I'd like to add one thing to Mr. Long's request, if he don't mind.
Okay.
I think we need to compare the total number of students over a period of time, so we can go back 3 years, 5 years. I mean, I know things got out of whack with the COVID, but I want to see if the total number of students has dropped over time, or has it increased, or.
It's dropping.
If we're asking for a number, we gotta have something to compare it to. And it's hard to make a comparison to something if we don't have other data to compare. And that's to be fair to the county and fair to the schools as well.
Hey, Jimmy, one other thing, add to yours if you don't mind. Would be all of the SOL scores for the past 5 years associated with the student population.
That's fine.
That way we can look at amount of students, if the scores are going up or down, whatever. Go back at least 5 years.
One other thing we can add to that, the number, I don't know if they can come up with, the number of kids that's homeschooled, right?
I can give you that.
Yeah, homeschool kids.
One thing to add to that, if possible, how many students, and you may have to check with adjoining counties.
Your list is getting longer,
How many, I guess you could check with Lancaster, Richmond, and Westmoreland. How many Northumberland students are out of county in another school system? How many, in other words, how many are we losing?
So how many Northumberland kids are migrating to
Yeah.
other?
I think the easiest way to get that might be checking with other counties. Ask them first and give them a chance, but, because I know I've seen the figure, in different localities mentioned.
Then if you're gonna ask that, then we need to know how many students we have in that school system here that's from outside of the county.
I have no problem with that either.
Yeah, that's what I
I just,
was,
you know,
I'd like to see that included.
Yeah, I have no problem.
that's what I was gonna ask Jimmy, right?
I mean, it's going out and I mean, it's coming in.
Yeah, we got quite a few coming in too.
Because do we have a net migration?
Students from other counties that are enrolled in Norfolk.
Right. Well, quite a few, even from Lancaster.
Okay.
You might have this information by the special meeting.
Getting interesting, well,
I'm still writing, whatever you want.
do you need another pen?
No, I'm good, yet a while.
All right,
I got Drew over here for backup.
all right. Ronnie, you got anything?
No, Tommy pretty much hit on both of them, hit on
All right,
two subjects that I was very interested in.
I sent you an email. And I'm gonna forward it to all other board members too. But it's got a list of items that I like to see. All right, total of any surplus funds for each of the, that they have left. I'd like to see it for the past 5 years. A listing of all school board issued credit card holders and itemized credit card charges. Any and all grant funds raised and all expenditures made against grant funds received for the past 5 years, including but not limited to vendor-specific other funds or rebate totals. Any and all financial statements prepared specifically for the Federal State Association or other grant applications. Membership, association, union, or other third-party fees and dues paid. Expenditures or retainers by contractors for the past 5 years. Grant payments and contributions made in any of the preceding 5 years to political action committees, candidates, political campaigns, or any other entity which has made political contributions or provided in-kind services to federal, state, or local elections. And let's see. And we need this in some kind of format that we can search. And we can look through it. And the general ledger would be the most ideal format to do it. We need to go back into this school budget and start digging. We just need to look at it. We need to have answers, and we haven't gotten answers. And for what's been sent to us so far is basically worthless. And we've been asking for answers all year long, and we do not get them. So it's time for us to be getting answers. If they want a school budget, they need to get us answers. Anybody else got any comments?
The only other thing I'd ask is, last year, we had a lot of requests for like HVAC and those various things. What is the statuses of those requests? Because I see some of the stuff they have in there. I'm wondering, has it already been done or not? And if so, why not?
Well, the roof's been done. That's still in there.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's still been done.
What's that, 800,000 or 600,000
Eight
figure
hundred
right
some
there?
$1,000, almost 900,000.
Probably-
Now they're asking for another 880,000 for HVAC equipment,
Yep, that's what I'm wondering, where's that coming from?
coming from this county budget.
I know that, but the elementary was fixed, and the new school, that new, shouldn't have that kind of need for overhaul.
That was my question, Tom, yeah. How
Yep.
old that is.
Yeah,
I'd like to see maintenance records on all this stuff.
or lack thereof.
Well, there's probably lack of.
But need to, we either in our own budget or given them, want to see have they followed through. And if not, then it's a big question, where's the money, where'd it go?
Well, they got two boilers down in the elementary school that they've been complaining that they want to replace. And they were complaining about that when they redid the HVAC on the roof.
Yeah.
All right? Wanted to take some of this ESSA 2, ESSA 3 funds and replace that stuff.
I think, boiler's a little more important than JRTC building.
Yeah. And if they want that equipment replaced on the middle and high school cafeterias, use that money to replace it. Plus, they got two wells they got to replace.
Could you get a copy of any letter from DEQ or the health department stating what is needed? That's $400,000 a well.
440,000 per well.
That seems,
And one of the wells needs to be done by 2024, if I'm correct.
What I was wondering on those wells too, like I'm gonna question them, who, rather than dig another well the same size that it got now, if I did right, is one that big needed? They can use the existing well for the fire system. That was the main, that big tank and all, because what she draws down to she'll only draw down for drinking water and personal use a certain level. It's always gonna be a certain amount in that tank. So why do we have to dig another well for that amount of water too? Why can't that old well be used and maybe a less expensive well done for the personal use?
anything you
I
can
don't
find out from DEQ Health Department on the well situation. And the other thing is, how long have they known this?
Thing of it is, we just haven't been provided with much information.
I know that.
It's a lack of information all the time. Always a lack of information.
Because we all know if you're dealing with DEQ, you get a lot of letters ahead of time. And if you don't do it, then they require a consent order, or else they'll take you to whatever, or fine you.
It's a bunch of grants out here for that drinking water and all, have they applied and have them on that? We got notices on that here some time ago.
Yeah. You could probably get grant money for every bit of that, or not, maybe at least 50%.
Or you could, if you had to, could you do one well and pipe to the school?
Well, that is a alternative.
Yeah.
And that's been discussed with the CIP board.
Usually piping is cheaper than, it's easier to cheap this way than it is this way.
All you do is drill one well and put in a manifold.
400,000.
Everybody pick up off the
$50, you build
manifold.
buy a lot of pipe.
That's right. Because you don't have to put concrete down this way.
Mm-mm. No, just a little bit of distance you're gonna run between the two schools,
Yeah.
but that would cost a lot less than $440,000.
I think all options, one need to find out what and why, but explore the option.
I got a question I need to ask because I'm a little confused.
Join the crowd.
Yeah, well, I stay confused. But anyhow, as the county government conducts business, we go in and we get price quotes, RFPs. It comes back before the board to review. And I understand the school is a separate, so is the sheriff's office, but majority of the time, I guess what I'm looking at, why can't we review these bids, what's recommended to these people, to the school system before a purchase is made?
Well, all we usually get is estimate.
Yeah, but, I mean, I guess.
If it's
you
between
know,
75 and 100,000, they'll tell us it's 100,000.
well, it's kind of hard sometimes to sit back and Ronnie's talking to the well and everything he says, I agree with him. But it's hard to sit back when the board itself that hasn't seen any of the information. We haven't seen any of the information that's been given to them on what they need for a well. Or why is it gonna cost $400,000?
No, that's right. You don't know whether it's a 10-inch, 12-inch, 16-inch well or whatever
I
it
guess-
is. We have no idea what's going there.
Right.
Or anything else. All we know is it's a price. And I don't know.
And I guess what I'm looking at, and I'll use this for an example, is when the sheriff's office needed a CAD system, they went in and got prices. They brought it back before the board. The board voted on and approved the expenditures. And I understand we give the school board a lump sum of money, but we're missing out on a big part of how this money is being spent by not getting this information.
Well, unfortunately, they are separate entities.
And that's,
We can't,
Right.
but they are still governed by public procurement,
Okay.
just like any government organization is governed by the Virginia Public Procurement Act. And they've, depending upon the size, just like Richard was mentioned, you may only be able to do by getting estimates. But if it's over a certain amount, then you have to put it on bid or RFP. And bid, you take the low bid as long as they're able to perform the contract. We know that's sometimes a question, but then if they do RFP, then you bring in certain number and decide who, and you negotiate. You don't use a RFP as a bid. They're two separate critters. A bid is, I'll bid 150,000, I'll bid 140. That's low bid as long as they can do the work. And that's who you're required to take. And that's the sheriff's department the same way, but they're under our budget and more so.
Okay. I just, it kind of, it puts us behind the 8 ball on some of these high dollar ticket
I
items
agree.
that's being spent, I mean, purchased. I mean,
Yeah. It all comes down to, it's all taxpayer money. And they, school board and the board of supervisors has to answer to the taxpayer. And we have to spend the taxpayers' dollars wisely. We cannot afford to throw them away.
No.
And we cannot be wasteful. You really want to know, Ken?
I'm good.
All right.
I hate
Your
this.
email helps.
Yeah.
So I can copy and paste.
Copy everything in there. Ask for every bit of it.
It'll take him longer to compose the
If they
email
want a
for
budget.
request.
And you can put that in there too. If they want a budget, they'll answer.
All right. We'll work on that, on those questions and get those to the school board.
Yeah, we've been working on that.
When's the meeting? May
Hmm?
4th? May 4th?
May 4th, 5:30.
Would you like to have those answers before then? Or would you like to
I
set
am
up-
expecting them no later than that day, or I like to have them before. Because if we don't have them, there's no use to have a meeting.
Well, no, it's worth having a meeting.
Yes.
Well, yeah, I
Right,
know,
right.
but I mean, to get those answers, it won't be, but still, yeah, I'll take it back. We do need a meeting.
Yeah, we need to.
We do need a meeting between the two boards. And that would also include the superintendent and, Jason Bellows, so we can get some answers hopefully.
Even if they can have, a percentage of them, then we have to call another meeting. I mean, you know, that would make sense.
Any more discussion on this, or you want to move on, or?
Move on.
All right,
Think of something else.
all right, next item is, county administrator items.
All right, the first item I have is the Geocomp contract. And to Mr. Gregory a little bit more regarding this matter. And we did look further at the terms. Mr. Tomlin had asked regarding that information, and he did not see any issues related to that. The one concern that he did have, and we were looking at this as far as a maintenance contract renewal, but based off the language in the current contract, he felt better that we would have some type of procurement process. Under the GSA contract, that pricing was higher than what they had quoted existing customers to renew the contract. So one of the things that, and we have done this before with the mapping program, is to pull this under sole source. And the reason for that is we would just be upgrading the, I'll call it the front office portion of the software. This is just the dispatch mapping portion of it. The back office portion, which is the GIS side of it, the data entry portion of it, is not changing. So based off of that, I spoke to Mr. Gregory, and he felt comfortable with us moving forward and doing this as sole source because we're sticking with the same mapping program on the back office side, and you would not be able to match that with a different mapping vendor on the front office side. So I don't know if you have any additional questions related to the Geocomp contract.
Any board members got any questions?
Computer programs like to talk to each other, and you get a different program, they sometimes don't talk very well together. Get a Microsoft and a Apple to talk to each other. It don't work very well.
It's about like a husband and wife arguing.
I guess that's how yours is, not mine. I'll tell you another one too. You need a motion to that effect, Mr. Tadlock?
Yes, and you do have a resolution
Yeah.
related to that item.
I move that we adopt this resolution to do sole source. That way our front and back offices can talk to each other.
Second.
All right, we got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
All right, the next item I have is I received information from the health department that we had budgeted $177,160, and under a JLARC study, it showed that several localities, of course, need to pay additional funds. They came back and showed that the district for Northumberland needed to pay $199,430. Now, that's a change of $22,270. Given that information, they also, based off of last fiscal year, we are receiving monies back in the amount of $15,360.80. So the difference between all of that is $6,909.82. But I don't know if you have any questions related to that request. Their budget timing is different. We are just now getting the contract to sign for this fiscal year. So
I think they got some school board people working for the health department, finance.
You need a motion on that?
if the board chooses for that difference, I would need a supplemental appropriation in the amount of $22,270 for that line item to the health department.
And to clarify, we are obligated to pay the figure to the state, which is based upon the JLARC study.
Right. Correct.
Just making sure anybody in the audience real or understand why we're handcuffed.
I move with granted request.
All right, we got a motion, have a second.
I'll second it.
Have we got a motion and a second? Any other discussion?
Yeah, just like I say, the health department on this, but the local health department doesn't do much what they used to. We don't even have an environmental person in this county now. Had a man come inspect my place of business the other day, said he would drove for 2 hours to get there. I don't know where it's from, but that was the closest one that had to come. You used to have 2 in this county to do it.
Yeah. And given our, last year's, building permit reports, it was up and we're up this year. I still don't like, we don't have much choice to do it, but I would request that we get explanation why we don't have at least one sanitarian in this county.
We should. If we don't have
He could not do a permit that day. So when it was in Heathville, he would send in information, I've got it, and that was probably roughly 2 weeks ago, and I've yet to receive a permit.
Let Dr. Williams know about the delay in the permit too.
Well, is that something you would like, Dr. Williams or somebody to come to the board and ask certain questions prior to
Yeah.
taking action on this?
Yes. I withdraw my second.
When it comes to picking check up.
We'll vote on it then.
All right,
All right.
Mr. Long had made the motion.
Yeah, let's withdraw it until we get,
you want to withdraw your motion?
yeah, let's.
All right,
withdraw it till
motion's
we get
withdrawn
some-
then.
And request him to come because I know I had somebody in another, Lancaster County, but they were Northumberland County residents. And there were some questions about the delay, but that was Lancaster. And he helped resolve it, but we need to have sanitarians in this district, not just for, I mean, you've got your work, your food permits, but then you've got, soil permits and stuff.
Well, if you don't have a sanitarian here, why isn't there amount of money we need to pay them reduced?
That's right. And then 2 hours to come, that's not even efficient from even a government
No.
standard.
Yeah, I don't know where he came from, but they said he drove 2 hours to get here.
That'd be Richmond, Fredericksburg, or Tidewater.
Yeah.
And either one of them is really gonna know our, well, they might know if food is, but they're not gonna know soils.
No,
So we want to try to get someone there at the next meeting,
Dr. Williams, if possible.
Yeah.
If not,
next regular meeting.
Either the next regular meeting or the next called meeting, either one, whichever. the
And
board
if
would
he-
like.
if some-
Or his availability.
and
too.
if Dr. Williams isn't available, certainly their head sanitarian or environment person here. What used to be Mr. Cox or whatever his name was.
Somebody with some knowledge though.
But don't get Mr. Lake here. He didn't know anything but budgets.
all right.
All right, we'll certainly ask, Dr. Williams. And the last item that I have is related to an adjoining property. Gentleman's interested in purchasing property that adjoins the county property, right here in Eastville, next to the EVB, bank. And, forwarded a letter to you all, related to that, and he is asking for, certain times to be able to use that back parking lot as additional spaces. And he estimated that it would be between 6 and 12 spaces, should be more than enough existing parking. And there are only certain times of the year that he's requesting that, to be done.
Would that be during the day or night?
In his letter, he has that, it would be on some weekends, and evenings. But we could certainly, put in, if the board chooses to allow that, to provide us notice, of any event that he should have.
the school board employees, where do they predominantly park? All over?
The side most clean. Yeah, next to the old courthouse.
So I wouldn't want to interfere with their parking.
I'm not sure that that too many of them use that back parking lot too much. Several of them park in the back of the building, and some park underneath the drive-through area. And they'll park in the front, and then, as Mr. Haney said, between the old courthouse and the EVD back.
There are no potholes or anything like that, like up at the school board office, old school board office, to worry about an axle breaking or something. Or
I'd have to go back there and double check. I don't remember.
I like to make sure, because we don't want to get in the same situation that the old school board office.
That still hasn't been fixed.
Well, what a surprise.
I wouldn't count on that being fixed, Jim.
No, I wouldn't either. I think they've already fixed it as much as ever going to be.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not necessarily opposed to it, but I just make sure the parking lot is able to be used without any possible repercussions on the county for defects.
We'll wait till the next board meeting makes a decision. That'll give local time to find out everything.
We can ride through it ourselves if we want.
Yeah, we all do that too, but I guess check with Eric, make sure that it won't be any legal problems.
Wait till the next board meeting.
Yeah, wait the next board meeting. You can also do that too, Luttrell, check with Eric, make sure we won't have any legal complications.
Yes, sir.
You can get one of those little statements when you go rent a space in a parking garage.
Mm-hmm.
You use at your own risk, we're not responsible, et cetera.
Yeah.
Especially an open lot scenario.
All right. Anything else?
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
All right. We don't have a closed meeting. Next item is adjournment, or we got to carry over.
Carry over.
We'll carry over what till the
To the fourth.
fourth.
May the fourth be with you.
So Jim, you got the motion to carry over to the fourth?
Yes.
All right.
Second.
Got a motion, a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Thank everyone for coming here tonight, and we'll see you back on May the 4th at 5:30.
Maybe we'll have some information for us along with yourselves.